in the interest of, thanks, Marty. We won't be able to see the screen this evening, folks. Apparently there is a little bit of a technical glitch. So let's open the meeting at 5. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And not that I am not happy to see you. Aren't you supposed to be somewhere?
Yeah, my kid's turning 18 today, so
Yes.
it is what it is.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's see if we can get through this quickly then. We'll try and get you out of here.
Thank you.
We don't have any adjustments to the agenda, right? Perfect. Public to speak on non-agenda items. Don't all come at once. Don't all rush the stage. We're awesome. All right, we're going to review the meeting minutes of March 19th. If folks had the opportunity to look those over, you want to take a minute? Or I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to accept the meeting minutes as written on June 4th.
Motion by Carolyn.
I'll second.
Second by Scott. Any further?
Question?
Yeah,
Wasn't
and
there, didn't I, oh, there it is, never mind. 4-1, yes.
any further discussion? All those in favor? That is unanimous. Okay, not seeing any correspondence. Well, are we calling this correspondence? The Dan Oakley Dark Sky Regional Manager.
That was part of what I sent.
It's part of what
So
you
it's not
provided.
really addressed to you.
Nope, that's perfect. Okay, so I'm seeing no correspondence. We'll jump right into continuing business and start looking at lighting, dark sky compliance. Before I get too far, it is the intent to have this ready for the special town meeting that's scheduled for September as well, right? Okay.
Oh, I thought this was for November. I did too. Yeah.
I thought I
the
saw
sign
posts.
was-
So I know we've got to get signs on it for the, this, but I think it probably, this would probably get. That's what it should be.
So when I saw the calendar though, I thought I saw something that said a special town meeting scheduled for September.
Yeah, we had the comprehensive plan and we have the original portion of the signs.
Of the signs. Okay,
So if
And
this,
not including the illuminated.
okay.
so if lighting makes it in time, it'll be in September. If not, it'll be.
If not,
Yeah, okay.
Well, we have time,
I
yeah,
don't think we'll-
September to November. Yeah, okay, okay.
I sent something to Marty back on the 7th of May, and I sent it as, it was something that hit me like, oh, now this makes sense, about the lumens and the watts kind of thing. So I'd read it in a magazine and I was struggling with, as we get into 1,000 lumen, what does that, I couldn't visualize what that looks like. And what this article was telling me that 1,600 lumens is like a 100-watt bulb.
Mhm.
That made a lot of sense to me, kind of thing. So I just couldn't wrap my head around how bright these things were. And I didn't know if in here we wanted to put some comparison for the layperson coming in because they're going to be the same as us.
I
What is
think,
that?
I think the problem is when you come to, all those comparisons are based on incandescents, not LEDs, and the whole purpose of an LED bulb is you get more lumens for less wattage. That's why people, they're energy efficient. So
Mhm.
for a 10-watt bulb, you might get 1,000 lumens. So that comparison which they had created is no longer, it was back when incandescents, every incandescent was pretty much all the same. But LEDs, the reason for going to them is that you get more light for less wattage. And so I don't know if you could put in that wattage comparison.
Would we have to do this comparison? Couldn't we do that comparison?
I'm not sure, what I'm saying is if you look at an LED bulb, all LED bulbs are slightly different. And so this LED manufacturer says, oh, our 60-watt or our 10 watt, whatever gives you this many lumens and someone else gives you, I don't think it's an industry standard is what I'm trying to say. Unlike when they had the incandescents, you had a pretty much a standard. If you got a 60 watt, you knew you were getting X number of lumens. With LEDs, that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, it's just that.
I hear you.
To visualize, how bright is that, how dull is that, how is, whether it's LED or not, it's just a thought
So
process.
maybe we offer some kind of informational form outside of
Of this.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that
Something
we.
that would, because otherwise,
Yeah.
lumen is a little freaking lumen.
Well, lumens are better than
What?
nits.
Is that a fairy over there?
Oh, yeah, nits.
Lumens are better than nits.
I don't
Lumens,
even.
Yeah,
Something, I just was.
But I'm saying
that click.
I understand why, but putting it in our thing, I'm afraid then it becomes a
Well, no, I just
problem.
wanted to bring it
I almost
up,
wonder
because
if we
to
could-
me, all of a sudden, excuse the, the light bulb went on.
No,
I was
If we
like,
could draft something
Yeah,
outside of this,
Yeah.
we could probably provide it for the town to just issue
Yeah,
when people are looking for the information.
Information.
We could probably come up with something super easy.
yeah, and there's a visual, or some kind
An
of
infographic.
graphic that has that and kind of shows what it might look like too.
oh,
I
that,
actually
yeah.
have that, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, GE.
No, thank you.
Okay,
Okay, so where is, we have
I have to
the,
go through and review yours because I don't know where you got your ordinance from, but it was out of order for what we had.
yes,
in
it was.
38, so I restructured it back to the original 38, so.
and that's what this is with the red, correct?
Okay, yeah,
This-
it was out of order because there were things in the original that made sense to move down here because of some of the changes in the language,
So-
so.
Just to verify for those of us sitting at the table, this document that you have left on our table, the 38.8.2 lighting
That
is
from
current
Existing,
with
38.
language suggested.
And the red is the suggested language from Northwest.
Perfect.
Do you have another copy of what you created? Because I only have what I gave you.
So that we all know where we're,
Yep. So
where we're at and what we're
same
working
thing.
on,
So we're just
okay?
starting this.
So I think,
Well, just like,
okay,
no problem. All you missed was, adjustments to the agenda and reviewing the minutes.
Okay.
okay.
All good.
If you need me to explain why we're doing this, I'd be happy to do that.
Think, does anyone at the table want to hear from her? Have you had the opportunity to review 38.8.2? I know that Marty also sent it to us.
Yeah, I've looked at it.
I hear
didn't
questions.
understand.
I can hear it in your tone.
I appreciate dark skies, but I'm not comfortable always trying to convert everything. Like, for instance, when it says in number 2, new, existing, and required retrofit lighting. So that means you're gonna have to get rid of things. And I know some people that have some lighting and it's like, I understand new and retrofit, but I'm not so comfortable with trying to go backwards and trying to undo all of that. We're really micromanaging people's lives at this point. I get a little frustrated with that as an individual private citizen. It's like,
Mhm.
I've already had this. It's been here for 10 years and now all of a sudden you tell me I've got to change it. And
Well,
that's
no.
what that's my point is that I'm not, if I'm putting new, yes, if I'm having to do retrofit, I get that. But if it's existing and I'm not doing anything to it,
Well, the original language said current. So it was in the original, it's already existing in the original ordinance. I just changed the word current to existing because current, I thought existing wording sounded better.
right, but we've got
Yeah,
this
but then you
existing
add-
lighting not in compliance with this code, so we brought it to compliance within 5 years. That's
Yeah,
what, that's
right.
the, I'm saying, I'm struggling
where
with
he's
that
getting
because I'm,
And the 5 years is a little bit flexible, but not by, too many years. But that's part of one of the requirements.
and that's where I struggle with dark skies
Right.
dictating to us what we have to do to be compliant. I'm like,
Right,
we want to do what we can, but there are issues. I push back a little bit because I'm just like, no, it's not them telling us how to run our community. That's what I feel like it is.
well, there are specific requirements if we want to be a dark sky community.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
Same thing is, are we allowed by state law to say somebody has to retrofit like some, because isn't it like usually that if something exists,
It's
you
great.
can't pass something that says they have to change it? Because in which case, we can't really write that. I always thought that's where you were allowed to keep what you had, but if you're gonna fix it or,
Right.
you know,
So by including that language, we're
We're
mandating.
We're mandating.
We're
That's what-
mandating that they
Mandate.
change it,
Right.
and I think because of the inclusion of the language, generally speaking, any newly adopted ordinances are in effect from the date of adoption forward
forward.
and not backward.
Not backward, right, so. you
And that's-
can't do
that's my
that, is
struggle.
What I'm saying.
Yeah,
I have no problem with saying from now forward, we're gonna do this. That's great.
In which case,
well, I guess,
it's not really our problem, it's dark sky's problem, if they want to have somebody in the state of Maine be dark sky.
I differ because first sentence says the town of Rangeley is committed.
Yeah,
period. Yeah, and the other thing is the review that you got from Dark Sky, the Dan Oakley memo. Number 4, he says, does the town have the legal power to enforce the change of existing lighting in 5 years? And he does say it's thrown up legal issues in
So,
some
yeah.
communities, so
That's,
that
an
may
iffy.
or may not,
so that's okay, we can sort of like let the lawyer throw that out. And it'll-
yeah.
That's probably exactly what'll happen. It'll get to
Yeah.
legal review and then the
Yeah.
attorney will look at Marty and say, you may want to tell him to strike that
Right,
unless you
So-
want to land in legal hot water.
right, and I think that that's fine, because then dark skies
And we
can't be
might have
mad
to-
with us, they'll
right.
say, okay, Bob.
and that's been my concern.
We're looking
Right,
at
well, I-
Is
I
it,
understand.
you know,
I understand.
Right, we're
what
saying
you're
we're
saying,
committed to do
Scott.
this, but the lawyer says we can't do this.
Well, no,
But
we're
it's
committed to being a dark
sometimes they
sky,
get-
but
This
maintaining a dark.
requires, they want the amortization of when all the lights are gonna meet the
Committing
requirements.
to whatever
And then
they
they
decide
say,
to do
well,
next week.
You know, do you really have the authority to dictate that?
Right,
So I don't know that they have it down.
right, okay, and that's fair, I understand, and I
Yeah.
would think that that's good,
Just my thing is I would
It
just
would be
like
my
to
argument.
make sure that that's gonna have to go,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
we always go to send these.
I know, but I just want to make sure that one
Mhm.
gets flagged. That was probably the big one for me.
And so as far as the things that we're concerned about complying with, can we have like an example of what it is that we're concerned with not comply? I mean, I get the flag poles, I get the parking lot lighting, but
Yeah.
we're a little tiny strip of land, you know, on Main Street, and I imagine that's what we're dealing with, is just this little spot here, otherwise, what,
Well, I mean, like this parking lot light,
right? That
it's
would be
14
like-
feet high, I mean, the IGA ones are what, 25 feet high, they're huge,
Right.
they're not 14.
I don't know how I did
I,
that.
yeah, and I haven't quite figured out how to measure 25 feet on my phone doing that measuring.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at them, it's like, those are way more than 14.
That for me is up in the air right now,
Right.
trying to figure out what that.
It's
number is.
those kinds of issues that
Yeah.
that raise concerns for me, not that we don't want to do whatever we can, but
Right,
it's just,
right.
it's like, we're all of a sudden forcing a business to, oh, you're gonna have to replace all your, you know.
Yeah, and I don't think I wouldn't wanna go for that actually.
Well, I get that, but I'd love to know just specifically, you know, what is it exactly that we're getting hung up on? Is it the lights in the parking lot? That, okay, we'll write that down. Is it the flagpoles being lit up at night?
That one's
Write that
exempt.
down.
Yeah, those were,
But there are some specifics of how you can light and
Right, right.
what you can light. But what, other than the height of a light, in a parking lot, I would say probably the IGA. Now,
That's the main
what else?
big parking lot,
That's
I
the
mean,
big
but most
parking
streetlights are way higher. I mean, and the
Yeah,
thing is,
but-
before it says 25 feet,
So-
which is fine, but then why is a parking lot so much less than
Sure.
everything
But
else?
maybe
Why
if we
shouldn't it
got
just be 25
specific
feet?
About what things do not fall within this dark sky compliant thing, then we can address them individually rather than, you know, just specifically, rather than generally opposing it.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I'll
I
just-
don't know that we want to get into doing it specifically, and I tell you, and I say that because we don't want to look like we're starting to pick and peel.
No, I guess my point is that there's not a lot That's what I'm trying to say, I think, is that.
Do we know that to be
really-
fact? Are Sarge's lamppost under 14 feet, all of IGA's under 14 feet, anything
I've got
in,
steeple lights on our church. that are
anything in the
uplighted.
steeples, anything?
Yeah,
And those have been there
But-
since the fifties.
Yeah, I mean,
No, and someone actually asked me about that, but
That's what I mean.
I have not seen a reference to church steeple
And
lights.
I don't
In
wanna,
anything
I don't
I've
wanna
read.
pull that, I'm just saying that's an
I'm just trying
example.
to
yeah.
let that one,
And it's
you
on
know,
a time that we
don't
shut it
ask,
off
don't
at 10
tell.
o'clock, whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
I think that if these things get shut off at 10 o'clock, then it's.
But that's what I'm saying, is there a way of saying, some of these, pieces like
Yeah.
that have been in existence,
right,
what can we do to be a good neighbor to work this out?
Yeah.
So
Right.
they're, oh yeah, okay, we'll just shut, it's like, okay, so we kind of have that, we're working towards that goal.
yeah.
But dark sky does require that we have time limit on that kind of.
What
requirement.
they're recommending is, that if, turning things off at 10 o'clock at night is kind of a general
Yeah.
feeling if,
Downtown's shut down. by the-
Isn't-
And then
yeah. if it's not being used, like even, playing the skating rink on the Haley Pond, those are big lights and that's probably, I don't know how
They go
tall
on
it
10
is,
o'clock and
but they
I
go
know.
on off at 10 o'clock.
They do.
The timer is,
Yeah,
yeah,
and off it goes, so.
and off it goes.
But there are lights in the parking lots across the way and probably the IGA that stay on.
All night long, all night long, I think.
And
Yeah.
maybe that's what they
They're
have.
they're probably on a dusk, dawn to dusk.
I think they
timer.
do.
Yeah, I don't know, these are things I need to dig into a little bit further. The health center, like parking,
Yeah,
lights go off
yeah,
at night, they're off at night,
right.
okay.
yeah.
So Scott, did you have any other areas
Well, I
of,
mean, that was just the one, like I said,
Nope,
it kind
nope,
of stood
that's
out at me
fantastic.
because I'm thinking of all these things that are existing and like, oh, we're gonna have to, and that's, it's like, okay, everything else.
Carolyn,
it's-
did you have any specific questions regarding any of the proposed inclusions?
Uh,
I heard you say you had questions.
Questions, just I read it. And,
The prohibited one.
I have another one, yeah.
it says on, point 4, prohibited, like.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Number 5, prohibited, and then it says, except when used in window signage. So does that mean that that's allowed? Neon or luminous tube lighting, either when outdoor mounted or indoor mounted, if visible beyond the property boundaries. So, I mean, I don't understand the clarity.
Right,
That's a
I
good-
agree.
Is it allowed
That's a
or is
good
it
question.
prohibited?
I know, it's badly written, because if
It's
it,
written-
how would you
it's-
see it from
it's a
indoors
double
unless
negative.
it's in the window?
It's a prohibited except.
Except it's
So
not.
does that mean
Well,
it's allowed?
I think and that's a good question. My understanding, I could be wrong on this, is when you have, I'll pick on Sarge's, not because I don't, but they
Right.
have like signs in their window that are neon.
Right,
And they would be saying those are allowed because they're inside,
But you can
but
see
at the
beyond.
same time, I can see where that
the
gets.
property
they're
so-
beyond, visible
Yeah.
beyond the property
Right.
boundaries, so.
So it's like, okay, that's it.
It's
That's
a
because they
badly
want it to be from
written
the
thing.
street.
That's badly written.
And who's the author of this?
Was
This
from-
is ours, this is our lighting already?
The black is
And
ours.
black is
So
ours.
red is red company.
Red came from her.
From Dutch. Yeah.
From Linda.
For me.
From Dark Skies. That one.
I took from other ordinances.
Yeah.
So that was a question I had.
Yeah, red is the language proposed by Linda after considering everything for dark sky.
Right.
Yeah, and this language is part of ordinances that have been approved. So,
But this isn't
We know
directly
this
only
works.
from but dark skies.
What's
This is,
that?
this isn't just from dark skies, like that line wasn't given to you by dark skies, that was from somebody else's ordinance.
right, ordinance that have already passed approval for.
Yeah, so
that.
like I said, after reviewing the information
Right,
from
right.
dark sky compliance
Yeah,
Okay, so
and
this
then
is
doing your research, this is
suggested.
the suggested language.
yeah, and it is suggested, and I can tighten things or,
Okay.
yeah, definitely.
No,
I don't think anybody's a big fan of 5, and you had another question.
Number 3, floodlights or spotlights affixed to buildings. So these are prohibited. And I'm thinking of like the bank has
Right.
lights on their building to light
Yeah.
up their parking lot. I know, because I'm right next to them.
I know.
You know,
Question on that.
and so it's like, okay, so they can't have that there, and I understand why they have it there, because people come in, you know, and whatever.
Right, yeah,
So I was just, you know.
yeah, I know, and when I,
Believe me, I would love not to have it there because it shines into my living room, but at the same
well, see,
time,
and that's.
but at the same time, I mean, it's
They
there.
don't want,
I just close my
is
curtains and
because
it's
it
fine.
does.
Well, they
shine.
should be shielded. I mean, the problem is that
Right,
if your
It could be
floodlight is shielded, then it's really not flooding that much, you know?
right.
Right.
So
It-
that's
it-
the
it
problem,
kind
is
of
they're not
Defeats the
shielded.
purpose, because you're trying to,
Right.
you know, trying to illuminate, so they're up on that. Anyway, so I'm just looking at that, so, you know,
Yeah.
floodlight fixed to a building, and I know we have some in town that that's the case. Again, so
Right,
this
right.
becomes that issue of, all right, how do we interpret that first section of existing, et cetera, et cetera? So those all tie together here.
Yeah,
And for the purpose of lighting parking lots.
It's just how is that different than parking lot lights, you know?
well, the parking lot lights are freestanding.
Right, like a pole.
But if you put a floodlight, the bowling alley is a prime example.
Yeah.
And I tell you, there are residents in town that can see that. I can see it from Saddleback Road. I mean, that's pretty bad. If I can see the bowling alley lit up on Saddleback Road.
Oh,
Well, I don't know, I think it's on all night. Dave McMillan can see it from his house. It actually throws light on the interior of his house.
well, there's a prime example of retrofitting, I would say. Okay, well, I would say that the bowling alley, for instance, would have 5 years to correct that
To
light.
shield it.
Shield
Oh, shield
it.
it.
They have to add
No,
shielding. They don't have to replace everything. They just have to add shielding.
And the bank,
Yeah.
you know, shielding
And I
as
think
well.
that would be okay, to
I
say
think
you
it
have
would
to
be
add
good.
shielding,
Right.
because you can always retrofit that.
Yeah,
You
right.
don't have to.
So,
Not necessarily, as speaking as an engineer. Retrofitting is not always as easy as you think.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've done, it sounds, oh, we'll just shield it. Sometimes it's a whole lot more, depends on the fixture and
Yeah.
everything else. So I appreciate what you're saying, but I just wanted to be cautious that it's not always we'll just bang out a shield and put it up there. It sometimes requires replacing the whole fixture.
so not to, I just want to make sure that we stay kind of on task, and we need action for anything we want to see different for a future review.
Yep.
So is there some action that we want to take on the applicability, that paragraph, Scott? Is there anything,
I mean,
even if it's including,
I would just, like I said, I'd like to get a legal review on it, you know, and
Yeah.
if legal's okay with it, I guess I'll accept it, but I'm just, you know, I'm
So-
struggling with that because I feel like in some ways we're telling people, we're telling, you know, we're superimposing things on them.
so I'm hearing leave until legal review. Perfect.
Yes, leave until legal review.
Any action we'd like to take on 0.4 prohibited lighting 3? The floodlights, the spotlights affix?
Again, I think that kind of goes with, a lot's gonna depend on what happens with the if the legal review says, yes, we can do retrofitting, then we can address that issue, but I think a lot of it hinges on what happens with 0.2 there. At least that's my view.
Okay, but 0.2 won't be,
So do you want me to send an email to Kristen asking her if 0.2 is even?
yes,
Relevant,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Because
And then we can have that possible.
yes, because apparently it's going to
In
end
general,
the rest
I
of the
think it is.
conversation about this.
Right.
Is what I'm getting from the communication. So having said that, before I close the meeting, I'm just gonna ask the two of you if you had anything additional, because if if there's no other action we're going to take pending what the outcome of that is, then we really have nothing else to do this evening.
Well, we can discuss what the questions are too.
That's why I'm asking if there are any additional questions. But other than that, if we are not taking any action, we do not need to sit here. And Marty is trying to get out of here, and I'm trying to be respectful of that. So do you two have additional questions?
no, I
Okay,
don't have
and
questions.
Carolyn, did you touch on all of your questions?
Nope.
Okay, so what are your additional questions?
Point number 5, sorry, just.
The curfew,
The curfew,
yep,
as far as, shall be turned off after business hours, leaving only, lighting for site security. The question I would have is, does that mean the Rangeley Inn has to shut their light off, all the businesses at, 11 o'clock at night or 1 o'clock in the morning, that it would be a totally dark town going through and you wouldn't see any,
Well, streetlights stay on, so it won't
No,
be
I know,
totally
but-
dark.
yes,
And-
I get that.
I guess I would submit that probably something like an inn, because they probably have
Come
a
and go.
desk that's open and people check in late, that one you can't really say their business hours are from this to this.
Right, they're open all the
So
time.
their light shows people, if you're traveling, you come up from Boston and you get delayed, if you pull
We're a
in.
24/7 business.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Anything like
Yeah.
that's 24/7.
That's why, that's what I'm saying, I
Yeah,
think
you can't-
that's,
But everything else, should lights go off?
and that curfew is
should-
existing language, just
Yeah.
just pointing that out.
that's existing, yeah.
Okay.
Carolyn, keep going, honey.
Yep, number 8, flagpoles. It does state, and I know it's some kind of a law that, not law, but a blue law. maybe. When you have an American flag that is left out at night, it should be illuminated, which is
Mhm.
great, love that. But it also includes here in ours suggested, and the state of Maine flag. I don't know if, just because you're flying the state of Maine flag, if we need to illuminate that. I'm
It says
asking.
may, doesn't say have to be. It says
I
may.
know, but
be.
it may. But as far as must, it's the American flag, but as far as may, we're gonna include the state of Maine. I'm just putting it out there.
I agree, we don't need to have that one.
Only the flags
State of
of
Maine, I
the
mean,
United States of America and the state of Maine may be illuminated. It's allowing you for illumination of those two flags.
right,
It's giving permission,
Mhm.
by the way it's written. It's not mandating it. It's not saying, obviously, the United States of America flag falls under a totally different guideline and must be.
Right, must,
But this is just saying that you may illuminate the state of Maine one as well if you'd like.
so that's okay.
That's how I'm reading that. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's up to you if you want.
Only the flags of the United States of America and the state of Maine may be illuminated.
Right. That's,
Okay.
So when we're, trying to get rid of decorative flags, don't get lit.
right,
Right.
So don't light up your garden flag.
right.
Right,
that's,
and that's reasonable.
I think the state flag is, that's the state we're in.
Yep, no, that was a valid question, though. I'm glad you,
Question, yeah.
yeah, because it made us, review the language really quick. Made us look at it. Did you have any additional?
No.
Are you sure?
Mhm.
You were all set. I
Yeah.
thought I already asked you that. I'm sorry.
No, I'm good, I'm good.
I'll let you talk in just a second, Linda, I
Yeah, no,
promise.
fine, yeah.
Val, honey, did you have any
Well,
questions on any of them?
I'm just, the recreational lighting, pole mounted recreational lighting is
Point
limited
10,
to,
last
point
page.
10 is limited to 18 feet. But if it's attached to a building, it can be 25 feet, but parking lot's actually 14. And I just find that inconsistent, and I don't like inconsistency.
You don't like the inconsistent language, okay?
Yeah, so,
That's fair.
That's
I mean,
fair.
I would like them all to be the
That's
same, and
fine.
since I'd probably go with the 25 feet, in which case that lets everybody off the hook.
okay, well.
but that would
let
be-
me
I don't like
explore that
Inconsistency.
first, okay? Because like I said, I took this from things that were approved by Dark Sky
I
from
mean,
a
if it's-
different ordinance.
If it's
Where did you see
shielded
the
and it's low
25?
lumens, then why do you
That's
have to
further
hide
up,
too?
that was
25
actually
is-
part of the original.
Is in the original language,
Yeah.
somewhere, right
Yeah.
here, lighting height,
Oh,
point
two,
two.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see the height, it's
I
got
will
the shielding.
explore the pole lighting,
Right.
height, the pole height, a little more.
That's the only other thing everything else looks fine to me.
Nancy, dear, anything?
Yeah, so it's a good-
No, she says nope. Linda,
Okay.
please.
I know you want to send this to the lawyer, but there are gonna be more changes and a couple more additions.
All we're sending to the lawyer at this point is that specific, the
Oh, oh,
applicability clause.
So it's okay
That's
if
it.
the lawyer has to go back and forth several times, it's not.
100%. All we're
Okay,
doing at
that's
this
all I
point is sending that
wanted to
one
know.
piece, and we're only doing that so that everybody feels more comfortable
Right, right.
taking action through the rest of this.
Right.
Yeah,
Because if
right.
we aren't taking action,
It's-
we're not moving.
Right.
Right, okay, I just
Yeah.
wanted to know if it was.
Yeah.
And the question is whether it's enforceable as a retrofit.
Right.
as a 5
'Cause
years,
I mean-
within 5 years.
If the lawyer comes back and says you can't do it, then there's a lot
Then
of
we can
things that were,
eliminate it.
yeah, so.
And if anybody feels I'm pushing this, please let me know, but I'm not
No.
seeing that, if everybody's
No,
got
I
their
agree.
answer, their questions answered, everything is hinging on that applicability clause.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but I
No,
was just.
no, that's
No,
fine.
and it's
that's a
perfect.
big
It
one
is-
that's, you know,
It makes the most sense. If that's going to make you go, well, I don't want to answer this until I hear this. I don't want to know this until this.
Right,
Then we need to address, that means that everybody else is gonna see that.
yeah.
If it moves through and they're gonna go, what?
Yeah.
That's what's gonna bring up the most
I'm
questions.
glad you
Okay.
are pursuing it, yeah.
Sign ordinance is with the attorneys, right? Perfect.
That's the.
It already went to the planning board review, then they sent it to the attorney, and that is scheduled to go on the September special town meeting.
We didn't finish, we need the sign orders. Oh, we've done so far, but not the separate electronic. we're doing
Correct.
more.
No, the separate
Okay, so
electronic, we were gonna
divided.
handle, yep,
Okay.
we're gonna
Yes,
handle that differently.
Okay, gotcha.
We have no new assignments from the Board of Selectmen, nothing new from them, right?
As far as I
Okay.
know.
Next meeting, possible dates.
I
June
am,
18th or July 2nd.
I am here
And
for a long time.
Oh, that's
Huh?
nice.
And
Yeah,
July 2nd, I've got a show.
Yeah, but this is 5 o'clock.
Will we, will we,
she's like, I'm not leaving.
By the
I was gonna say the show must go
time
on.
the show starts, the directors are just laying back.
will we be,
Your job
what's
is
the
done.
likelihood of hearing from the lawyer by the
God
18th?
willing.
There's nothing left to do. It's all up to them. You just close your
I
eyes and
can't
stand
answer
back.
that question.
Okay, so does everyone, if everyone's available for the 18th, I say we tentatively schedule for that.
18th of,
But if we
June.
don't hear back from the attorney, we won't be able to move forward anyway.
gotcha.
Right, but it
And
gives
then
us time to
July
do some more
2nd sounds like
digging.
a little bit of conflict.
There's no way.
Yeah, so maybe the July,
Oh, July 5th or July, yeah.
and she's like, no, what are we?
July.
I meant July, Nancy, I meant July.
When I got your response, I was like, I think she's thinking July.
I agree,
Yeah.
I miss June altogether, like, you know, miss a day, I miss a whole month.
Uh-huh, okay. So
Yeah.
tentatively for the 18th, if we have a response back from the attorney, we'll move forward with that. Linda, I am sure Marty will let you know.
Yeah, she's
Absolutely.
Perfect.
been keeping me.
So
18th of
everything
this
is
month,
hinging
yes.
on
Okay,
that.
maybe
that
like,
Moving forward?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
That's how I understand it. Yes? Is that where everybody feels?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a look at others too, but. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
just-
Yeah.
So we'll use
if I
the
have
time.
people checking in, so if I may be late,
Okay,
if
on
I
the
don't
18th.
have Dave to back me up, then I
Okay.
have to wait till they come. Cause
Okay.
check-ins between 4 and 6.
Okay, perfect.
What are you gonna do?
I could be here on the 2nd because by that, it's a good way to kill an hour. And
Okay.
everybody else is pacing. Otherwise, I'm just pacing. So it's like
You're not gonna be not at the theater on the 2nd, though.
from 5 to 6. I'm not there. All I'm doing is pacing around, waiting for people to get their makeup on. They're, it's like, no. The show starts at 7.
So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Seconded.
Motion by Scott, second by Val. All those in favor?
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate all your time. And don't ever let me rush it if you think I'm rushing it, but I just, when we kind of came to
It
that
was-
decision, I'm like,
I
oh.
didn't want to bottleneck everything, but I